Thank you for taking the time to review the Student Activities Office Guide to Student Organization Finance. This guide can serve as a tool managing organizational budgets and executing paperwork properly. In this presentation, there will be important information regarding student organization budgets, record keeping, payment options, the paper process, ethics, and tips, so managing a budget effectively will be an easy and stress-free experience. The budget process is important to understand so that your organization can utilize the budget in the best possible way. To do that, you must be aware of how the money is allocated, know where you stand as a club or organization, and the opportunities that are available to you. It is important to realize what class your organization falls under, as this will affect the way your organization is funded or supported by the Student Government Association, or SGA. All recognized clubs and organizations are classified under 6 categories. Take a moment to review these classes and find the class under which your organization falls. As we reviewed, what category your organization falls under will affect how or if your organization can request a budget from the Student Government Association. An easy way to think of this is, only classes 1 through 3 receive annual budgets from the SGA. All clubs and organizations that do not fall within those categories, although not able to request a budget, are able to request an SFR or special funding request, which is a fund set aside for individuals, departments, and various groups interested in programming for the benefit of the WPI campus or campus members. All deadlines and due dates must be followed to request and secure a budget. For more information regarding the SGA or OCFC process for requesting a budget, go to the SGA website at sga.wpi.edu. Let's take a few minutes to review the ways that an organization can pay agents, vendors, or even reimburse members. There are various ways that you can pay individuals and vendors from your organization's account. The most popular forms of payment are through a check request, inter-departmental transfer, purchase order, deposit, or reimbursement. It is important to realize that no matter what kind of payment option you use, it always takes 2 to 3 weeks for a check to be written and processed. Checks are only cut on Tuesdays and Thursdays on campus, and all paperwork is signed in the Student Activities Office the Friday following the day that it is submitted. This is why planning an organization is very important. For example, a check request is submitted on Monday the 7th. It is signed in the SAO office on Friday the 11th and sent to accounting. It then takes around 2 weeks to be processed and sent, probably around the 25th, because checks are cut only on Tuesdays and Thursdays. As described in the example, it takes roughly 3 weeks from start to finish to cut a check, so planning is very important. All paperwork should be submitted through the Student Activities Office, as signatures are necessary from the professional staff. Although your advisor plays an important role, he or she is not authorized to sign off on payment paperwork or contracts. One reason for this is the Student Activities Office copies and keeps budget transactions on file to assist the club should they encounter any problems or have any questions days, months, or years down the road. Check requests are a way for an organization to request payment for a vendor or performer for services rendered. There is some key information that is necessary for a check request to be processed properly. This information is the name of the person or corporation who you would like the payment to be made to, in addition to their address. If payment is being made to an individual, you will need their personal social security number, or if they are a corporation, you will need their federal ID number. All check requests must be submitted with an invoice or contract that show the payment amount that was agreed upon or charged. The bottom portion of the form is where you will place the complete account number of the organization that is paying for the vendor or individual. A complete account number includes a fund or an account number. Finally, signatures must be provided by the individual who created the check request and then by a member of the Student Activities Office professional staff. The check request should then be attached to the invoice or contract with a paper clip. Financial paperwork should never be submitted stapled, whether it is purchase order, check request, or reimbursement. An interdepartmental transfer, or an IDT, is a way to exchange money between a club or department on campus. These are traditionally used when clubs and organizations share expenses for a collaboration or when a department such as facilities or campus police charge for an event that they assisted with. For an IDT, you will need the name of each party involved, and the form must be signed and dated with appropriate account numbers for both parties. On the bottom portion of the form, someone should place a description of the event and what the transaction is for. Both parties should keep copies for their records and then submit the form to the Student Activities Office. Reimbursements are used to repay an individual for a purchase that they made on behalf of the organization with their personal money. Any purchase requiring a reimbursement should be something that will stay with the organization, not used for personal reasons, or has a one-time use for the organization. All purchases, like events, should fall under the mission of the organization and correlate to events. To correctly fill out an expense reimbursement, the individual's name, address, and student ID number are all required. The form should also highlight which organization is sponsoring the event, in addition to the complete account number that they want the money taken from. All expense reimbursements must have original receipts. No photocopies will be accepted. It is important for individuals requesting the reimbursement to photocopy the receipt for their own records if they would like a copy before submitting the reimbursement paperwork. When the form is ready for submission, the individual requesting the reimbursement and the organization's treasurer must sign the form and submit it to the Student Activities Office for a professional staff member's signature. The Student Activities Office will then make photocopies and send the request to accounting. A purchase order, also called a PO, is a form used with traditionally large companies that require a promise or confirmation of payment before an order is placed. A PO is a binding agreement promising payment. It is never to be used as a way to put an order on hold. Purchase orders can be picked up and signed out in the Student Activities Office. If your organization is thinking about using a PO, you must receive a quote with the total amount estimated for payment. The invoice or quote must have the company's name, address, and product information that you are interested in buying to fill out the PO form properly. Once the form is filled out, it can be faxed to the company to serve as a promise of payment until an invoice is received. When the company then sends an invoice, a check request can be generated to process the check and complete the payment process. Ethical practices should be reviewed and reflected upon, whether they revolve around student organizations or personal choices. One important aspect to remember in working with budgets, especially when they involve a club, corporation, or community account, is ethics. It is important to be ethical in the way budgets are used. Budgets from clubs and organizations at WPI come from a student activity fee, which is money that each student pays. Money spent from these budgets should be for the benefit of the organization as a whole, or the campus community. This means that organizations should not make purchases that the organization does not need, and all purchases are property of the organization, not a single individual. When organizational members submit receipts, they should be itemized, showing every purchase that was involved in each transaction. These purchases should be reflective of the purpose of the organization and fall within institutional and organizational policies. Here are some friendly tips and suggestions to managing a budget effectively. Managing a budget can be a time-consuming and frustrating experience if not done in an organized and efficient manner. Be sure to get others involved in the process. Do not wait until the last minute to process paperwork. This not only delays payment, but it also compounds the amount of work that you have as a student leader, which can create stress. Review the budget on a regular basis, and don't wait until you have to write a report or figure out a balance, but review your budget at least every 2 weeks to ensure that there are not any issues with your account. Treasurers have a very important job and should keep detailed records of all the income and expenses related to their organization, just as you might for your own personal checking or savings account. Computer programs such as Excel or My Money can help keep detailed information and running balances for your organization. Treasurers should also cross-reference the information that they have with the transactions processed by the university. For a detailed budget balance, visit the Student Activities Office located on the 3rd floor of the Campus Center. It is important to know that the balances provided by the Student Activities Office will have the up-to-date information for your organization according to the paperwork processed by accounting. This still is a helpful tool in allowing any treasurer to cross-check the transactions of their organization. You have quickly been introduced to some tips and information related to budgets and finance forms for student clubs and organizations. If you have any concerns regarding what you have seen in this presentation or have a question that has not been answered, contact the Student Activities Office at 508-831-5291 or send an email to sao@wpi.edu. The Student Activities Office is open every week, Monday through Friday, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Feel free to stop by and say hello to our staff. We are happy to answer questions or set up appointments to meet with you and your organization regarding any issues or concerns you may be having.